Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is on Tuesday, 6th of January 2026, and we're hoping things are going to be good for this year. Now, we don't waste time, we go directly to the point. There's a lot that has been happening in Nyabohansa recently, especially with donors' money. And I'll clearly say here, donors have contributed to the disintegration of that village. You see, Marwa made a video yesterday where he claimed that anybody associating or anybody associated with Nico Buddha, they should also count themselves out. Now, when you hear somebody makes that such kind of a statement, what does it tell you? First, they believe they are the king of that place. They believe without them in that village, it cannot go ahead. And I'll give it to him to some point, to some level rather. Marwa is the one who introduced YouTube in that village. That one I give up to him. And he did a good thing. However, the fact that he introduced YouTube in that village, he kind of feels as if YouTube belongs to him. And YouTube and the way YouTubers in that village should make content should be based on Marwa's terms. Remember, this is another opportunity that God has given Marwa to showcase that he is a leader, to show that he can lead, he can become somebody. But instead, what does he choose? He chooses to incite people against Nico Buddha. And the issue with Nico Buddha's card and with Farmer Asa, that was an issue that they should have solved together. These are two grown-ups, two individuals who would have sat down and solved that matter. And there's a reason as to why. In every community you go, there are people who refer to as elders. Elders play a very significant role because they help in solving conflicts. Now, in this case, Marwa, he's a very young guy. At that 5, he's still very young. There's a lot of things he has not seen in life. And there are people in that village, probably sober people. They do not necessarily they don't need to be in administration. But there are older, sober people who can sit them down and advise them. Look, Marwa, how many subscribers do you have? 578, going to 600. Nico Buddha, how many subscribers do you have? About 8.49. Farmer Isa, how many subscribers do you have? About 7 point something. What does that tell you? All these 3 individuals have been monetized. The problem is, because of lack of creativity, and they do not have new ways of making content, they have to find drama. Because you see, that conflict in itself, Marwa will come and say this, Nico Buddha will come and say this, Farmer Isa will come and say this, and the viewers are seated down watching and taking sides. Well, for Marwa's case, his people already took sides a long time ago. His followers already took sides a long time ago, because his followers, what I've seen from the comment section, majority of those people, they lack pragmatism. All their comments, all their arguments are just pedestrian. They lack logic. They don't hold any weight. Because you can support Marwa, but at the same time correct him. Because there's what we call positive criticism and just criticism and hatred. Marwa, nobody denies this guy has done a lot good for the people in the village. He has done some good stuff in the village. Nonetheless, that does not mean that he cannot be criticized. We will come and will say and will speak as we ought to speak with courage and confidence and tell him whatever he is doing is wrong. And there's nothing he can do about it. Once you post something online, we are going to react. The only thing I'll never react to is insults. And I have to focus because I need also to focus. Just because I'm making content does not necessarily mean that I have to, make insults out of nothing. It's not beneficial. It does not help me in any way. You understand? Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the level of hypocrisy. And especially with the guy. And that's my personal opinion. Marwa sometimes comes off as a hypocrite. in so many incidences, he has come out as a hypocrite. And why do I say this? The reason I'm saying this is because there's a recent video he did. There's a live he did. He calls it the question and answer live. Now, if you watch that live, you would notice that this guy, he doesn't care what he says about other people on camera, but he's very, very cautious what people say about his family. He does not want people to talk about his family. He does not want to be asked about himself, Rocio, and Mitoto. And of course, we have to leave Mitoto out of this. That's a child. As much as they have brought him online, that's a child. We have to leave a child out of this. We have to respect that that's a child, and every right of that child has to be protected. So we cannot talk about Mitoto, but good for Mitoto because he's winning home and away. Because every investment Ayamaro is making is directly connected to Mitoto, and every investment that Rocio is going to make is going to be directly connected to Mitoto. Mitoto has an advantage. He will come and have the African context and culture. He will go and have the Argentinian content and culture. So if he integrates those cultures, I'm telling you, he's benefiting because anyone who integrates into cultures benefits a lot. Anyway, I'm not there. I'm talking about Aya Marwa and the life he did, the question and answer life he did, the mistakes he did, and the wrongs he did in that. Aya Marwa stated in that live, because I watched it, that people should not ask him about his family because he also does not ask people whether they're having sex. So you too should not ask him about his family. Do not ask him about Mr. Lewis. Do not ask him about Congrats Mom. Do not ask him about Rocio. Do not ask him about his family. What follows next is he continues and goes ahead and throws Musabi, he's called Musabi, under the bus. So apparently, I am Marwa. You do not want people to talk about your family, but you're very comfortable talking about other people's family. We did not know, people had not, until that question was asked, people had not known that Musabi works for Getirifa. And the fact that he works for Getirifa, he's not your employee, but he stays with you. So it looks like you're the guardian. Up to that point, there's no problem because, Getirifa doesn't have a lot going for him at the moment. He has 3 kids he's taking care of, has a wife, and has a building that he's taking care of. And he's also your food soldier because he's the one being used to threaten Max Bryan. And by the way, Gitirifa, you need to be very, very cautious because you're going to put yourself in trouble. You people are so full and drunk of power. You think that nothing can happen to you. The reality is, in a very short period of time, Ayamara, you do not even realize it. Anyway, back to the case with Musabi. So Ayamara comes and openly speaks about Musabi, and he says that Musabi doesn't have a choice. He does not have a home to go to. His parents fight. Even when it's holiday, he doesn't have a place because his father is a drunkard and his father beats up his wife. Was there any evidence when Ayamaru was saying this? No. Probably these are stories they may have talked about with Musabi. And I'm pretty sure that one day Musabi will have the cojones, he will have the courage to come and speak out. Because as much as Marwa's, I hear people call them the cult, the minions, as long as his minions want him to write and want him to control the narrative, then there's nothing much that can be done. His subscribers, and not all of them, because I've also seen subscribers telling me, bro, we've been supporting you, we've seen your journey for the last 10 years, but the new route that you've taken is not taking you anywhere. Imagine you are a global traveler, you are a worldwide traveler, but you've reduced yourself to the level of a villager. You think like a villager. Now you're being used to fight other villagers. Reason being, small money. And you think that money is going to continue flowing? No, it's not going to continue flowing. And all that drama has been instigated. Money has brought in divisions in that village. And I am Marwa, if I would blame you. I would honestly blame you. And I have the confidence. I would honestly blame you, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the reality. I would blame, as a guy and a big YouTuber like you, going down to that level, you're not being smart. First of all, I am Marwa. Of all the people in that village, you have a degree. So that means even within the Kenyan context, you've been exposed to other cultures, you've been exposed to so many other tribes, you've been exposed to so many other places, you've seen so many other villages outside Kenya, in Kenya, you've interacted with so many races, and there's nothing you learned. Come on, bro. There's nothing you learned, even having traveled all that. There's nothing you learned because the way you handle issues within that village shows a lot about you. It tells a lot about you. You do not have the traits, the personalities of a good leader. You do not have the traits of a transformative leader. What you had, and you see, bro, you have huge influence. You have a lot of power. That's what you do not realize. But the way you are handling that power, instead of using that power to build, you're using that power to break. You see, remember, you went to Goko's house and you made a declaration. Imagine that house belongs to Goko. So the only person who has the power, the only person who can dictate who goes in and out of that house is Goko, not you. Nonetheless, I understand why Goko may not have much power. Because whether we like to agree or not, that house, were it not for your influence, and mark my words, not your money, your influence, Goko's house would not have been built. That one, I gave it to you. You did good. You did a nice job there. You used your influence positively. And this is what I need you to understand, Ayamaro. You have the power to influence positivity in that community, but you are using that power wrongly. Ayamaro, money does not necessarily need to flow directly to you. God is going to come through for you all the same. Ayamaro, look at it this way. Your mom does not need your money. Your father does not need your money. Your brother is doing so good, he does not need your money. Your sister is doing so well, he does not need your money. So, anytime you have some money, the only person who needs that money is you. Look at it, Ayamaro. The person you call your wife, that is Roca Brera. The person you call your wife, she has her channel. She has money. So she does not necessarily need your money. So anything you make, you can easily build yourself. And by now you should have learned. This year probably you can buy more land, more land, more land, case closed. You close that chapter and then move out of that village. Let that place be a place where you come to visit. Let Nyabohanse be, I go to Nyabohanse to visit. But all along, you live in another place. See, I've been here for quite some time, and I can tell you there are so many other, interracial couples like the Limiris. I watch them a lot of time. Now, the wife is actually in US as we're speaking with the three kids. The husband is in Kenya. The limited travels. And maybe if you're going to watch this video to the end, for those who are going to watch it, you'll go and check. That's a couple that has found a way of working things out. We are not saying that they're perfect, but at least we know there are things they do not parade on the social media. In your case, I am Marwa. If I were you, and if those people who claim to love Marwa, those people who really claim to love Marwa, you need to call that guy. You need to talk to him. Because the trajectory he has taken is going to put him down. Amara, I need you to figure this out. All your land where the horses go to graze, it's not fenced. And What you're doing, you're having enemies day in, day out. Enemies day in, day out. And you're left with no one to look out for you. So you've claimed that anybody who associates with Nico Buddha should not associate with you. Now that was a direct attack to I am Mayugno. That was a direct attack to I am Mayugno. And then the next thing you'll come and claim is anybody who associates with I am Mayugno should also forget about you. And that would be a direct attack to Itnasto and his wife. Because Nico Buddha and Mayugno, they're brothers. And these are Tanzanians, and Tanzanians have learned the art of unity, the art of staying together, unlike we Kenyans. So you've declared that nobody should, first of all, Nico Buddha should never come close to Gogo's house. And by the way, Nico Buddha, the only reason as to why Nico Buddha came to that project is because he was involved in building that kitchen. Nico Buddha was also involved in building Villa 19. That will never be taken away from him, whether you like it or you don't like it. Do whatever you want to do. That is never going to change. Nico Buddha was involved. He brought his expertise in building that house. Mayuno brought in his expertise. I remember when he was making that video, he spent a night he went on, of course, on YouTube, made a sketch, and they utilized that sketch. And that house looks good, considering you didn't even have a lot of time to build that house. I mean, to plan everything. Everything was just like we wake up, you are following your instincts. And that house was built. And by the way, I am Marwa, courtesy of your influence. Goko's house needs some paint. Of course, you have influence. Goko's house needs paint. The exterior, it needs paint. You have influence. Talk to the people who donate. They have money. They are rich. They should not allow that village to look the way it looks. Those people are rich. They should even fix the road to your villa. I don't know. Those people who donate to you, I don't know why they're trying to look like they're poor and they're rich. The people who donate to you are doing a bad job at donating. They need to buy you a chopper. I am at your level. You shouldn't be traveling with cars and bikes. You should be traveling with choppers. The donators, they need they need to contribute more money and build your dreams in that village, because you have to live like a king. But Ayamara, honestly speaking, you've been reduced to that level. Your content creation journey has been reduced to fighting villagers because of donations. The guy who was a king, the guy who was traveling all over the world, you've been reduced to that. You need to sit down and do something called self-reflection. Anyway, I lost track of my thoughts. Let me go back to the tracks of my thoughts. Now, what I was saying is, you see, you cannot say and you cannot dictate and ask people not to ask you questions about your family, you and yourself and your dad and all that things. And then you go ahead and start talking about Uncle Gutu. You say that Uncle Gutu, me, I didn't know. You say that Uncle Gutu was imprisoned. And he stayed in prison for 7 years. And you now imagine for all those people who'd want to be married, to marry Uncle Gutu. Now they might not need to go that road because Uncle Gutu will now be looked at from a different angle. People are going to start looking at him at, hey, wait, this guy has been in prison. I do not need to be the guy who has been into prison. I mean, for somebody who would have spent his the rest of his life in prison, and you want somebody to come and get married to him? No, that's not going to happen. You're actually throwing your uncle under the bus. And not just your uncle, even your father, because you claim that it's your father who brought a woman for Uncle Gutu. It's your father who went out scouting for a wife for your Uncle Gutu. And then when the wife came, she could not even sleep with Uncle Gutu. And you've also claimed that your Uncle Gutu, he drinks something small. This is how you, for the people you don't love, for the people you don't like, and for everybody else, you kind of feel you can talk about them anyhow. You just love to throw them under the bus. You don't care. You just talk recklessly about them because the way you are spitting negativity towards your uncle, it shows a lot about you, but you do not want people to speak about you. And that's why we have a problem. Whether we are poor or not, everything belongs to God. And I can tell you for a fact, I am Marwa, you are so much drunk of power. And yes, you have power. Nobody should lie to you. Yes, you have power. There are instances you've used that power positively, like now building Villa 19. That was one of the things I look at and I'm like, okay, to some extent, I'm on your side. To some extent, I don't side with people who are fighting you. Because when that house was being constructed, whether you took some money or you did not take some money, Goko's life was transformed for good through your influence. Imagine, Ayamara, imagine, Goko's house was transformed for good. Even with these boys, the guys you call boys, through your influence, their lives was transformed. The problem is you have an urge to control. You're such a control freak. And that's why you're going to fail. Bro, even the biggest brands, even the richest people, they fail. And I can tell you for a fact, bro, you might be going through that road. And when you see, do you know how people start failing? You start losing the most important people in your lives. And the most important people in your life, bro, are those villagers. There are things you cannot do by yourself. There are things you will never do by yourself. You might undermine and underrate those people, but there's a point they can come through for you. You might find yourself in a big problem. And I am aware there's also another thing that can happen to you. Because right now I believe that the people who love you the most is your mom and your sister Dimwango. She came through for you recently. If there are people I kind of feel they love you genuinely, they see you as you and they appreciate you and they fight for you. If there are people who I think love you deeply and genuinely, it's your mom, congrats mom, and your sister Dimwango. Do not, and I claim and I say, do not ever dare stand anyone disrespecting them. And I'm not saying they are perfect. They are not. They are not. The good thing with your mom is, she does not spit negativity. She goes on with her business. And you see, as a mom, she has to protect you because, you are blood. You're her son. If your mom doesn't protect you, who else can protect you? Unfortunately, I kind of think that you do not listen. You're a big headed and you've been a big head since you were young. And you're not willing to change from that character trait. And this is not an insult, brother. This is not an insult. This is an opinion statement when I think about you. And I am Amaro, imagine you could have become the biggest thing. You could have become the biggest thing. I want to take you to the music industry. You see, in the music industry, and I want you to think about these Tanzanians, musicians. Think about somebody like Diamond. Let me just use the example of Diamond. Diamond, 10 years ago, Diamond was not a big thing. He wasn't. Kenyans were big. Kenyans were big. Diamond used to come to Kenya to cut and raise for other artists. But see what has happened with time. He came out of his comfort zone and he traversed. He went beyond corners. Oh God, man. I am Marwa. If I were you, I would need to take a break from the village content because you're fighting too much to find relevance in that village. And in that village, there are also other people who are so empowered. Imagine guys who never went to school and they're making it big. And I am Marwa, I need you to understand. It's not everybody who watches you who is stupid. They can see you for who you are. There are people who are looking at you and wondering, wait a minute, this is this the kind of black, is this the kind of Africa we want? And for some reason, there's so many, some of your global audience, they kind of look at us Africans and they think we got nothing going for us. Well, that's not the reality. The reality is different. So when that happens, instead of them trying to, like, there's a guy who was called chocolate something, one of the most ignorant, stupid, foolish individuals of an old, you see, there are people I would honestly understand when they talk nonsense. And it's not an excuse, but again, you will understand that the emotional approach of majority of young people misses a point. But there are people I would not understand. For all those retirees, for all those, Jamaican Canadians, Jamaican Americans, who kind of think because, they live in America, first of all, they left Jamaica and went to America. And they need to understand the history of Jamaica. Jamaica was a place where you guys, your help, your use was no longer needed. So you are being taken to Brazil and other places. You are not needed. You people, Jamaicans, your original home is Africa. And then you were taken. And I'm speaking about Jamaicans who are in the United States of America, in Canada, in Europe, all those Jamaicans who are causing chaos here in Africa. And not here in Africa, in Nyabohanse. All those Jamaicans need to understand one thing. While your ancestors left Africa, they left Africa as slaves. And now you're supporting slavery in this era because I am Marwa, God has really blessed him. He has a lot of blessings. God has blessed him with a lot of things. He has those are things every person would desire to have as long as you're living on planet Earth. No, who would hate to have large pieces of land? Who would hate to have a villa with a helipad? Who would hate to have a successful sister, a successful brother, and a successful mother within the online space? They're not even relying on you. And then they grew up in the village, so they understand, like your parents, they don't even beg for your support. Nobody would hate that. But when you're given power, utilize it positively. If I were you, Marwa, look at the way rich people there's something called silent wealth. And that's the topic I'll be discussing later on. Once I go somewhere, I need to drive to a place today. But when I come back, we shall, today I'm going to spend my time discussing and analyzing and speaking and giving my thoughts unapologetically, not arrogantly. I do not intend to be an arrogant human being. Unapologetically, me. You understand? And then from there, we can move on. I'm not here to create enemies. I'm not here to create friends either. For me, as long as Jesus is with me, I'm good. And whoever doesn't feel like, they will not support, they will not watch, they will not subscribe, they will not do anything because I say, as long as Jesus is with me. Kick rocks, eggs, eat. At the end of the and by the way, thanks Jesus, 100 subscribers on my channel. For me, it's a very huge milestone. It's really a huge milestone. But all said and done, I'm wishing these people would sit down. They have everything they need. They are doing good in life. I don't know why they keep on arguing about petty issues. Nico Buddha has done great for himself. And I kind of feel I am Mario just being, you feel bad that Nico Buddha can fetch, because we're talking about $500. That's around 55 or 60,000 Kenyan shillings. 60,000 Kenyan shillings in the village is money that can take someone for a very comfortable life for at least 2 months. $500, by the way. $500 for a person who is in the village. They don't smoke, they don't drink, they navigate from one place to another using a bicycle or a motorbike. $500 can easily take you for 2 good months comfortably, because when you live in the village, you're not paying rent. You're not, if you're living off grid, you do not need to pay a lot of electricity bills, because let's even assume you're paying electricity bills here. For a month, you can pay $5. And for a person who is using $5 on electricity bills, that's a person who is taking hot showers, cooking with electricity, and then you talk about fuel. Assuming you're using your motorbike every day and assuming you're using $5, you can't use $5 per day. If you're just revolving within a radius of 25 kilometers per day, you'd probably use $10. No, $10 is too much. You can use $5, because full tank can take you for a good week. That money is good. That money can take you far if you're living in the village. And assuming you also have some other little sources of income, that's good money. That's good money. Hey, village life sometimes it's highly underrated. And I kind of feel like the people who manage to integrate between the village and town, they kind of have more advantage. I mean, one thing I'm discovering at my age in this life is, as you get older, the way, no, this is completely off topic, but I just have to talk about it. At the end of the day, this is my channel, this is my video, so I can easily talk about it. At the end of the day, again, we're just having a conversation, and I would also like to hear your thoughts. One of the things I may have discovered is, you know, if there's a way you can integrate lifestyle between town and the village, and especially if you're an early morning person, like you want to live very early in the morning when you're headed to town. So that means you can avoid a lot of a lot of traffic jam. And by 5:30 you're in town, and you can go and finish up your businesses probably by 11. Because again, you have to be very, very logical when it comes to traveling. You have to be a very good planner. You have to avoid traffic jam. And the best way to avoid traffic jam is majority of the people go to work between 8 a.m. to probably 9:30. So at that point, within the morning hours from 7 to 9, there's always going to be a lot of traffic. So you can beat that traffic very easily. You can easily beat that traffic if you're smart. And if God blesses you with a car, because nowadays a car is a necessity. Um, to some extent, if someone can become a student of life, life can really be fun and sweet. And one of the best, I kind of think that the people who live this life the best way are those who, first of all, they have no intentions of trying to impress anybody. They're just living life to enjoy life because they're here. And then for people who understand when to stay simple and when to go overboard. And by simplicity, I mean there are some types of food I'll never go to eat. There are some places I'll never go to eat, because those food prices are highly exaggerated. We pay for that feeling, to feel that I belong to that class. We pay for a feeling. People don't really understand that, but at times we pay for a feeling because you want to be seen that you're in that class. So you have to pay a lot of money to possibly eat in a certain hotel. I would rather pay to interact with some people. There are people who, when you interact with, when you have a conversation with them, there's a lot you gain in that conversation because they have a lot of value and they give you a lot of value. And it becomes easier to grow. You know what I mean? Sometimes, as much as life can be really tough and hard, sometimes right, life can also be good and sweet. And especially if you're not sick, because sick, and if you don't have cases like spending time in courts, and and I think uh, that has helped me to go back to Marwa. The reason as to why this guy will never have a serious court case against anybody is because he has learned that these cases, they rob you time. Um, they're also robbing your reputation because the moment you start imprisoning people, today somebody was arrested by you, tomorrow somebody was arrested by you, it also drains you. That's the reality. Online here, Ayamaro may be acting as if those things do not affect him. The reality is, deep down, those things are really affecting him. And that's why, as long as I'm going to be on this platform, I really prayed and asked God, give me a heart, give me confidence, give me courage that I'll not be afraid to speak up. I'll be speaking up and I'll speak my truth. But as I speak my truth, I have to be very, very honest. That's why, as much as majorly my content is about I am Marwa, currently talking about I am Marwa, by the way, at this point, for those people who have already picked up on this platform, for majority of the people who have already picked up, especially those in the village, in that village, talking about Ayamara and the Congrats family, talking about Dimwango David Jr. and Congrats mom and Congrats dad. It's content that is feeding people, honestly speaking. And as at now, currently, it's going to fade away very fast. So people have to also identify other niches. And for very small YouTubers like me, who is beginning his journey on YouTube, and you can never tell. Life is so crazy because right today today's 5th or 6th January. Hey, oh my God, I need to do some checkup, man. Today is 5th January. I could be surprised. Who knows? Next year, time like this, I could be somebody in this space. And I pray and I would want to be somebody in this space. So what I was saying is, these court cases, as long as you don't have them and you don't have any health issue or any marital issue, there's nothing that is affecting your marriage, there's nothing that is affecting your family, there's not the diseases, and then you do not have court cases. Because what happens with court cases is, as much as somebody else is being drugged, you always dragged under the mud because courts have a particular way of operating. And now, for somebody like Ayamara, he has to operate at a point where he needs a lawyer. Now, Ayamara, sorry to say, but one of the things I've learned about you is that you do not know how to work with professionals. For you, the best you can do is you can work with a professional for 1, 2, 3 stages. I mean, you need to consult, you pay, and then you're left to handle. You had 3 professional horse trainers. You did not manage to work with them effectively. You have a professional driver, professional tour and guide, Matata. We are going to have to wait and see how that's going to run. There are also other people who've come to work with you, and I don't know how things turn out to be. You need to learn how to. There are people you have to pay. There are people who understand their value, and those are people you don't joke around with. Those are people you're going to have to pay proper. You're going to invest in them deeply. You're going to use serious money investing in them. So other than that, man, bro, I wish you all the best in life. Cheers, guys. If you feel my content is something you can relate with, uh, you can always subscribe, like, you can share, you can comment and share your thoughts. Um, if you want to, if you're a Marwa's minion, you can also comment below there. Um, the only thing, well, I do not have control over what you want to do. You do your thing, and I'll always speak my truth. My truth is my truth. Have a good one.